Think about that, because sometimes we get so focused on what it is that we're doing. We get so into the routine of the day-to-day grind that we've asked for something, we've prayed for something, we've requested something, and then we will block the very blessings that were sent to be bestowed upon us. So let's have this good conversation today about whether or not you're blocking your blessings and 3 signs that'll let you know if you are. So let's get into it. First of all, I got to give big props and shout out to Coach Dawn Staley of South Carolina, because she's the one who influenced me to do this. So quick backstory. Coach Staley in South Carolina, has won 3 championships. Black woman, never been done before. Okay. And she was telling the story, amazing story. She said, in 2015, she was at the championships. They lost. And one of the commentators came up to her after it was over. She was commentating on the game, and came up to her and gave her a piece of the net. So the commentator was a former D1 basketball coach as well. She was the first Black woman to ever win a D1 championship. And when you win a championship, you get to cut the net off the basketball hoop. And so she brought Dawn a piece of the net. So the first thing I want you to do is catch this. In order for her to bring the net, she had to believe that Dawn was going to win. Now, this was back in 2016. Okay. In 2015. This was in 2015. But even if she didn't win, the commentator, another sister, had decided, I am going to speak life into her. So after the game was over, Dawn lost. Her team lost. The Black commentator, first D1 championship for women's basketball, went over to Dawn and told her, I'm gonna give you this. This is the net from the championship game that I won, and I want to give this to you so that you can have a piece of the winning for when you win. See, this is some of the things that we have to do for one another. Now, let me tell you what Sister Dawn done. Coach Dawn Staley over at South Carolina, okay? So she won. This is her 3rd win. Hasn't properly been celebrated, but we're going to give big ups to Coach Dawn. She cut that net off. Coach Dawn sent 70 pieces of that net to 70 Black women D1 coaches all over the U.S. through the mail. They didn't ask her for this. They didn't tell her this, but she was letting them know, I want to share a piece of this win with you, and I can't wait for you to win. We got to do more of this. No one told Dawn to do that. No one told the first coach to do that. But we have to get into the habit of feeding into one another, because sometimes, a lot of times, it's the belief that someone else has in us. We have the talent. We have the skills. We don't have enough belief in ourselves to move forward confidently until someone speaks life into us, until somebody reminds us who we are, until someone stands up as the example to say, if I did it, you can do it. Until somebody says, yes, it might be hard, but guess what? You're prepared for the climb. A lot of us don't realize that we already got everything that we need. We already have everything that we need. And we just need a little bit of a push, just a little, just to keep going. So we keep ourselves stuck. Now, don't worry about it. I'm finna get to the point. Hey, Care Cozy, hey. So I'm finna get to it. So we got to ask ourselves, are we blocking our blessing? Are we ourselves blocking our blessing? And if we are, do we recognize it? And once we recognize it, what are we going to do about it? So we're going to talk about this today, and I'm going to tell you how we continue to stay stuck, and you might be able to identify, and that's fine if you do, that's fine if you don't. But I could directly relate to Coach Dawn Staley's story and what she did, because it was also another Black woman who sold into me. So I was doing my work over at the school as a classroom teacher. I was in there teaching it up, okay? As an English teacher, I was making it happen. I was, good to go. They had told me to go get a job, stay there for 30 years, retire. So my goal was get this tenure, don't mess up this tenure, because now it's hard for them to fire you. Stay under the radar. Don't create no havoc. Don't be up here acting up. Don't be up here, doing nothing to bring attention to yourself, and everything will be cool. You'll be able to ride out. So I was following the plan, right? And I was in my classroom and I was doing what I needed to do. And I was teaching them kids and I was loving my work and I was loving them kids. And then they started this thing called standardized testing and state testing. And then they separated the schools. So when they first started doing it, all of our data was lumped together. So it would be district data. So even if you had a failing school in the district, they could be hidden within the bigger pile of data. And then while I've been teaching, they separated and they started doing building by building. And then that's put a spotlight on the buildings that were not doing well. Well, I was in one of those buildings. And not only was I in one of those buildings, I was at the high school, y'all, because I was a high school teacher. And so we only had one high school. We only had one. And when you only have one high school, that's called your flagship school, because most of the points that come from your state accreditation comes from your high school. So then the spotlight was on us. Well, guess what, y'all? I was an English teacher. So who gets the most points on the state standardized test? Baby, English and math. But who has more courses, English or math? English does. So you got to take the English 1 and the English 2, but every kid must go through English 1 and English 2. And those are the two subject areas that go onto the testing. Well, for math, they only use algebra 1. So Houston, we had a problem. So when they told us what the problem was, of course, we went into solution mode because we're high achievers. We're not going to let the English department down. So then I went and I retweaked my units. I got to understanding what the test was about, how to support the kids. And we were already teaching. We just didn't know that this test was what they were going to test us over. And some of the stuff on the test is not what we had been teaching. So to me, the answer was quite obvious, right? And so what did I do? I made some changes. We took that test the next year. I had some of the highest scores in the building. There was another teacher who had higher scores than me. But between me and her, we had over 50% of our kids to pass the test. Well, now all eyes on us. They like, hey, what did y'all do? And we were like, we just started tweaking. We started doing this. We started doing that. And so then the next year, the goal is to rinse and repeat and get a little better. Okay, the next year, we increase some more. So now they want us to train the other teachers on what we did. Well, the teachers didn't like that, sis. They didn't like that. But I'm a classroom teacher now. So then after a couple of years of doing that, getting some great training, doing the things that I was doing, then I moved to another school because, see, I'm that person. I'm not going to stay in a toxic situation. See, some of us will stay even though we're being harmed. Some of us will stay even though we know it's bad. I'm not that person. I went and found me another school to go to. So I go over to this other school. It was perfect. It was great. Go there. They're experiencing some of the same problems. Hey. She say, I'm here. Thank you for joining me. So, and for those folks who are on Instagram, feel free to join me on YouTube. Come on over and subscribe on YouTube so I can get them viewer hours. Come on over on YouTube. So I moved over to another school, and at this other school, this is where I met. This was my first time having a Black woman in leadership. Before then, I had never had a Black woman. I'd had a Black man. I'd had white women. I'd had white men, but never a Black woman. So this Black woman was in leadership, and the folks in the school adored her. Little woman, wasn't but 5 feet tall, okay? And so she was always on 10. This sister was always on 10. Hair immaculate, makeup immaculate, clothes immaculate, walk immaculate, look immaculate, speech immaculate. And I was like, oh my God, like that is it right there. When I say she was the model of perfection, beautiful, always on 10, always. And then when you see her, you would think she'll never get sick, she'll never be tired, she always smiling. Oh my God, this is amazing. And then she would talk to you Like she would come to your room and be like, "Hey, Chanel, how are you?" And I'd be like, "Oh, how are you?" Her name was Joy Lynn Pruitt. Amazing leader. Amazing. And she would say little comments to me and speak to me. And I'm just thinking, I'm just another teacher here. Hey, how you doing? Y'all know how we feel about the superintendent. Y'all know how we feel about the superintendent. So I was like, hey, how you doing? Smile, hey. And I go on about my business. And then we'd have a PD day or something. She'd come over to the PD and she would say, hey, Chanel, how you doing? And I'd be like, hey, how you doing, Dr. Pruitt? How are you? And she'd be like, no, just call me Joy Lynn. And I'd be like, oh, I ain't calling you Joy Lynn, girl. You done lost your mind. Anyway, I'm getting to the point of this story. So she was amazing. So then you know how you always see the superintendents. You don't really see the assistant superintendent as much, not in our district anyway. So then this lady comes over and she was like, she wanted to come and meet with me. And I was like, okay. Her name was Shauna Williams. So she comes over to meet with me. And she was like, I've been telling the superintendent about you. And I was like, hey, you been telling the superintendent about me? I don't know this lady. And she was like, I've been paying attention to you. She said, and I see you. She said, I see you. She said, and you come to work, you do your job, and you try to skate by. She said, but I want you to know, we all see you. And I was like, what they see? What are they seeing? I'm scared. What they seeing? Am I doing something wrong? Because that's what we do. We automatically think about what we're doing wrong. So that was the conversation. I saw her maybe a few more times that year. I kept doing my work. I kept showing up. I kept doing what I needed to do. I didn't create no havoc, no problem. Let me tell y'all this story real quick. So then we got in, our English department got into this big turmoil. So there were only 2 Black people in the English department, and there were 15 or 17 English teachers. We had a few men, a couple of men, and then it was all white women. So I think we had 2 men, Mr. Stewart and the other crazy man. So we had 2 men in the English department. We had 2 Black women, and then the rest were all white women. And it was 17 of us, I believe. It was either 15 or 17 of us. And there was this big ruckus in the English department. It turned into this big ordeal, and our department chair meetings were like a waste of time. No one could come to resolution. Our English department chair was very mild-mannered, didn't know how to take control of the situation. She was friends with everybody in the room, and she just could not bring an answer to the problem to allow us to move on. So this went on for weeks. We lodged complaints to the administration saying, we need you all to come to this meeting. Nothing's being done. It's too much happening. And so one day we were in the meeting, and typically they don't ask us what we think. Like me and the other Black lady, they don't ask us what we think. And we've been conditioned, because Black women been treated so poorly. We know that they don't care what we think, and we know whatever we say, they're not going to take heed to it. So we've been taught and trained to sit back, shut up, let them do it, and then we go to our classroom, do whatever we gonna do. I don't know if it's just me. Can anybody relate to that? I don't know if that's just how we operate. And when I say we, I'm talking about me and the folks who was in that school, but I tend to find that there are other people who operate that way too. So then that particular day they asked me, they said, Chanel, what do you think? And I said, well, since you asked. And I told them exactly what I thought. I told them how petty they were being. I told them how inappropriate they are being, and how it is not a good use of time to keep asking people what they think. You are the leader of this team, of this department, and it is your responsibility to make a decision. But you are trying to put your decision off on other people because you don't want to accept the backlash of, if this goes wrong, now you are responsible. That is not good leadership skills, and we need you to make a decision. That's what I think. You're wanting other people to make a decision for you. Yeah, I was frustrated. I said it out of frustration, but I didn't say it disrespectfully. Dr. Marquita said she experienced that too. See what I'm saying? And so from that day, that the other people in the room was like, yeah, you need to make the decision. You're the department chair. And so it put the decision making on her. She would not make the decision. So then I said, well, since you will not make the decision, we need to take a vote. and the majority wins. It doesn't matter whether you like it or not, but the only way we're going to take this vote is if everyone agrees that even if what you decide is not the win, does not win, you have to go with the majority and you don't get to complain about it. And even if it doesn't turn out right, you still don't get to complain about it and say we should have did the other thing, because we're going to give everybody a fair chance to make a vote, and we're going to operate as a team. We're a team, and this is what we do. Since she can't make the decision, we need to make the decision, or it'll be 6 months later, test time will be coming on, and we'll still be arguing about this same decision. So we took a vote, we made a decision that day, and that was it. I just thought it was over. I just thought it was done, okay? I just thought we'd have made the decision. Now that's over with. Let's go on about my life. That lady showed back up in my classroom, the assistant superintendent. And she said, I want to thank you for taking leadership and helping the English department get to a resolution. She said, we intentionally did not come to your meetings. She said, we intentionally did not show up. I couldn't understand it then, because I was thinking to myself, well, what type of leader are you? You wouldn't show up. And so I understand it now, and I understood it later. If those two Black women, as the superintendent and the assistant superintendent, had showed up or sent someone over to show up, no matter how it went, the blame would have went back on them. So they made us make our own decision and decided to step back, and knew that they had to step back because the person that team, that group, that English department had voted into position was that English department chair. They made that decision for her, even though there was nothing in her to show that she had leadership skills. They voted for her because she was their friend, and she was getting paid an extra $5,000 a year to be the English department chair. And so the administration had decided, since y'all voted her in against better judgment, you gonna deal with it, and we're not coming over there to solve y'all problems. Well, then I showed up and I solved the problem. I didn't know that's what I was doing. So she came over to say, thank you for stepping up, showing leadership. And she said, and oddly enough, I knew it would be you. She said, I knew it would be you. You don't see that you're a leader. You think nobody sees you. You think that nobody sees you. This is what she was telling me. You think that don't nobody see you. You think that you come into this building, you stay quiet in your room, you don't say much to people, you speak to everybody. She said, everybody says that you're a very nice person, but nobody knows anything about you. She said, they know these kids love you around here. These kids show up, they talk about you in these other classes. She said, but you think that you are under the radar. She said, and I want you to know your light is shining and you cannot hide. Again, I am totally confused. I am so confused, because what did I do? Why are you saying this? What do you mean? You see me. Was I hiding? I ain't been hiding. I've been showing up to work every day. Some of y'all know exactly what I'm talking about. Anybody know what I'm talking about? You think you're hiding. You think that you are under the radar, and there are people who see you, and they have told you that they see you. They have indicated to you that they see you. That's one of the signs, people. That's one of the signs. You are trying your best not to be who you were meant to be. You are trying your best not to be the leader that you need to be. You are trying your best not to step into the place. But I tell you what, those two Black women they took a moment to speak life into me, to show me that you can be a compassionate leader, to show me that you don't have to be one of those people who tear other people down. They took a minute to show me that we as Black women, we can get along. They took a minute to show that sometimes we have to make decisions that are political, but you don't have to do it in a way that hurts other people. They showed me a lot of things, and I thank them for showing me that Black women can lead with compassion. Black women can be brilliant and beautiful, and Black women don't have to bow down and pretend like they are not human beings. Now, what they also showed me was, I'm not doing that. When I say these women was on 10 every day, when I say these women had perfect hair, had perfect makeup, had perfect clothes, had perfect everything, even when they were sick, they looked amazing. I will not do that. I will not do that. That also showed me that we don't have to bend our body and twist ourselves to be other people, to appease other people. So it showed me a couple of things, because once we got to know one another, those wasn't even the same women who I was talking to. Like when I'm talking to them one to one, we laughing and kiki and kaka. And this was after a couple of years. We laughing and kiki. I'm all like, oh my God, who knew you had a sense of humor? Oh my God, like, where is this lady at? But that's not the lady who could show her face publicly. I didn't want to be that person. And so that helped me to realize that when I start leading my building, that I will not be that person. I'm going to be a regular person. What you're not going to do is turn me into a pretzel and have me have one personality Monday through Friday and another one on Saturday and Sunday. I will not do that. And it's a price you pay for that, because you got to train other people to accept you that way. A lot of us won't take the time to do the training that is needed when people try to tell you that you need to change and act a different way and talk a different way and look a different way. Girl, why your makeup like that? Girl, that eyeshadow is too much. You need to take that off. Why you got on lashes? Girl, we at school, don't wear them lashes. They are trying to change you. And if you're falling for it, then that's on you, because you're responsible for you. But let me move on. Let me talk to you about how we stay stuck. She said, talk that talk, Dr. D, and keep it hot in 100. Yes, I'm telling you, we can do this. Back in the day of our parents couldn't do that. Our parents couldn't do that. Our parents had to play the game. Our parents had to play the game, or it was a price to pay. But guess what? Many of them paid the price so that we don't have to play the game no more. Y'all can stop playing the game, but you won't stop. You still think that you have to do all of that code switching, coming in at somebody else, talking proper. Some of y'all, when you pick up the phone, hello? Yes, this is, you don't have to do that anymore. Hey, whatever your language is, whatever your dialect is, you don't have to do that. You don't have to dress the way to make other people feel comfortable. You don't have to do that anymore. But I'm gonna keep going. So how do we stay stuck? Let me tell you how we stay stuck and how we block our blessing. We stay stuck and we block our blessings because we won't try anything new. Some of us ain't gonna even get that. We won't try anything new. We do things like drive the exact same way home. We eat the same foods every single day. Every time you go to the restaurant, you order the same thing. You won't ever try anything new. You talk to the same people every day, every week. You talk to the same people, have the same conversations. You do the same routine every day. When you get home, you do the same routine every single morning. You watch the same TV shows every week. You listen to the same podcast every week. You do everything the same every week, and you wonder why you stay stuck, because you won't try anything new. The Lord can't bless you. You can't receive your blessing because you keep doing all the things that you are comfortable doing. These are the things that keep you in comfort. You keep doing that. You won't try anything new for you to get the blessing and see, oh my goodness, this is really fun. Oh my goodness, this is good. Oh my goodness, I'm really good at this. You can't even meet the person that the Lord done lined up for you. He got this person that's ready to meet you. You keep going straight to work, come straight home. People done invited you to 62 events. You done said no every single time because I ain't putting on no clothes going to that. I don't want to deal with them people. You don't want to do anything different. I'm just saying. Signs are sent. People are sent. Opportunities are sent. We can't receive the blessing because we block it. Because we want to stay in comfort. We want to keep doing the things that we've been doing. We want to meet new people, and we want those new people to act just like the old people in our lives. When we meet somebody and they say something that we don't like, I ain't calling her no more. Oh, no, I don't like her. We instantly decide we don't like the person. We don't like them because they think different from you. They have a different understanding than you. What's wrong with that? We got to think about this. And then here's the next step. That's the first one. How we stay stuck. That's how we stay stuck. Then the next one, we won't give up to go up. We so busy trying to hold on to what we got that we won't open our hands to get the next best thing, the better thing. Think about it. We will stay in that same relationship, knowing that it's toxic, knowing that it's not serving us, knowing that it ain't benefiting us in no way, no how, but we just don't want to be alone. We don't want to have to learn nobody new. We don't think that nobody else will love us. And so we stay in that same relationship because we're afraid to give it up. When the blessing was, if you go ahead and let this person be free, you will see the peace that's going to come in your life, the PEACE, the peace. You're going to see that now you got time to feed into yourself. You're going to see that now you got more money. You're going to see that now people are giving you opportunities. You're going to see now that when you go out to events, people are talking to you because you don't have this other person with you who don't look approachable, who don't look friendly, who's holding you back, who's not on your level, who you wasn't equally yoked with. We stay in the same job because we're scared to give up our paycheck. We don't think that anybody else will hire us. We don't think that there is another job that will pay us. Oh, do I have lipstick on my tooth? We don't think that there's another job that will pay us what we were making. We don't believe it. So we stay there. We're getting sick. We're tired. We're exhausted. We don't want to go to work. We know that this is not what we're supposed to be doing, but this pays the bill. So I'm gonna show up. There are people who are living in locations that are dangerous, where you got to duck and dodge and fight bullets to get into your house. You got to check the window every night to make sure ain't nobody stole your car, all types of foolishness. But you won't move to a different location because it's comfortable here. There are some people who are struggling, paying these high rents in these locations where you can barely afford to eat, let alone live. And we think to ourselves, I gotta stay here. No, you don't. It's 49 other states you can go to. You don't have to stay where you're at. If you don't like it, move. I know people who have real medical conditions. Why wouldn't you move to the place where they address that specific? I know somebody right now has a medical condition. The place where they live is horrible with that medical condition. They can move 2 states over and get the best care and the best results for their medical condition. But they are so comfortable where they're at, they refuse to move. Even their own doctors have told them, the number one center is over 2 states over. If you could get there, they could treat you and you would do much better because they deal with this every day. This is what they specialize in. But we don't believe, we don't have enough faith in ourselves. We don't have enough faith. We can't have faith in ourselves, or then we'd be able to have faith in the Lord. And so we stay because we're comfortable. I'm just saying. Number 2 is we won't give up to go up. We hold on to what we have so tightly, we won't open our hands to receive more. We won't surrender. And then the third thing I'm gonna tell you is it's just flat out disobedience. It's just flat out disobedience. Yep, you heard me. That thing that's in you that you can't shake, you can't even shake it. You keep thinking about it. Your mind won't let you rest. Every time you think about something, you back to that thing. You don't know where this idea came from. It was just dropped in you. And now this is all you can think about. You're thinking about what it'll look like, how it'll be. You can't stop thinking about it, but you won't take any action to make it happen. You can't shake it. That means that you must do it. You must do it. And then you won't do it. That's that disobedience. You can't get your blessing. You can't get your blessings because you're disobedient. You ignore all of the signs. You ignore all of the signs. I was ignoring the signs. The lady came and told me. She said, I see you. She said, I see you. She came back again. She said, I see you. I was ignoring the signs. My sisters them told me, I see you. I was ignoring the signs. My friends told me, I see you. I was ignoring the signs because guess what? I didn't want to become the person that I needed to become in order to do the thing that I was meant to do, because that meant I was going to have to be a little different than everybody else. But guess what? Y'all, I was already different. While they was out at the clubs, I was reading books. That's what I thought was fun. She said, baby, you said it. We won't give up to glow up or grow up. Okay. We got to be willing to do it, people. They already see you. You keep getting the signs. Y'all done got some signs. Tell me in the chat, what was y'all signs? Tell me in the chat. Tell the other people in the chat, what signs have you experienced to let you know that you're supposed to be doing whatever it is you're supposed to be doing or whatever the sign was for? We get signs. Some people don't know it. We ignore them. I knew as a kid, ask my sisters. I used to tell them all the time, no, this ain't my life. I'm not going to I ain't struggling like this. Nope. They would be cleaning up. I would ask my sister, you can ask her. We are the one who I share the room with. We are 2 years apart. At 10, I would tell her, why would I use my time to clean this room up when my brain is doing something else? I need to use my brain. I would tell her this. And my sister used to say, you better get up and clean this room up. And my sister used to clean the room up. She would clean the room up. And then I would tell her, I said, well, why don't we just put the stuff back where it was when we got it? And then we won't have to take Saturday to clean up. If we put stuff back when we use it, everything will always be in place. She couldn't understand that. My philosophy was, why are we taking 2 hours on Saturday to clean this room when we can just put stuff back in place? And then on Saturday, all we got to do is sweep them up. That's all we got to do. But instead on Saturday, we got to wash clothes. We got to do all of the things, clean the dresser off, put everything away, fold the clothes. That didn't make sense to me. And I used to tell her, my brain, I was meant to think. And so some of us, we knew as a child, what was that thing you knew as a kid? What was that thing you knew as a kid? And so that thing that you can't shake now, that you can't let go of, that thought that keeps coming in your head, that's a dream, sis. That's a dream. And it's there for you to do it, not for you to keep thinking about it. This is what I'm going to tell y'all. It's been 7 years. Never would I thought that I would be able to create income for myself and not have to go on somebody's job. It's been 7 years. I have not received a paycheck from anybody else in 7 years. I have not been a W-2 employee in 7 years. Some of y'all can't even imagine creating your own income, being free. My goal wasn't to create, all I wanted was freedom. I knew that I was not free, but I had to understand what freedom looked like for me. Freedom is for you. You got to determine what it look like. I ain't telling you you got to leave your job. If you enjoy your job and you like your W-2 employee, that's fine. Stay there and do that. I am by no means telling you that everybody's freedom means leaving their job. I'm going to tell you what it told me. When I saw that salary at the bottom of that schedule and it said this was all that I could ever make, this is all that I could ever make. You're not going over this unless you go and become an assistant superintendent or a superintendent. And if I couldn't handle the load of being a teacher and an instructional coach and an assistant principal and a principal, what on earth would make me think that I now want to become an assistant superintendent or a superintendent? Because that takes more time, effort, and energy. You get paid a little bit more money, but guess what? You're going to outsource all of your parenting and all of your duties. And so that's not better. So I was like, no, this can't be it. This can't be it. And I had to make a decision for my life. But I will tell you, you got to be prepared to become the person. A lot of us want the rewards, but we don't want to do the work on ourselves. See, we've been in these households and we have lived a life of a Black woman for many of us. The life of a Black woman is a tough life. We are the least valued people on the planet. And so we have been taught to appease, to play small, to try to make everybody feel comfortable, to try to fit in and to try to do all these things. And you got to be willing to shed that. A lot of us will say, I don't do that. When in reality, you do. We leave our culture at the door when we walk into these buildings, when we walk into these jobs, when we meet these people. A lot of us have been taught that, and especially us from the southern places or who have parents that are from the southern places with this, when we see white folks, you say, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, you got to speak proper, or they ain't going to see you as valuable. You got to see yourself as valuable first. You got to see yourself as valuable. I'm just as valuable as you. No, I'm not doing any of that. I'm not doing any of that because I value me and I value you, but I'm not going to value you more than I value me. That doesn't make sense. Some of us are not ready for the self-work that needs to be done. Some of us are frustrated and angry and we lash out at people. We say mean things. You're not ready. You got to do the work on you. The work that you do on you is going to determine how far your business can go. We don't care about what other people say about us because we got to become the CEO of our life. See, a lot of us letting other people be the CEO of our lives. They get to tell us how we can wear our hair, what type of clothes we can wear, what type of makeup, what type of lashes. Oh, I just want it real natural. I don't want it to be doing too much because you're scared somebody gonna say something. You don't want them to say anything. We got to think about who's in charge of your life. They determine when you can go to bed, when you can wake up, what nights you can take baths, when you can take showers, when you can go on vacation, when you can go to your kids' game. Nobody should have that type of control over your life. That's not what our ancestors died for. That's not. We only make up about 12% of the United States, but that's a large number. That's a large number. And we got to be willing to help and support one another. And we got to be willing to lift our hand back down to pull some other people up. Now, we're not putting you on our backs, but we're going to put our hand down. And then when that opportunity comes, you got to be willing to support and show gratitude. You got to be willing to show support and gratitude. I give Dr. Williams and Dr. Joy Lynn Pruitt all of the gratitude. I told them, if you ever need anything from me, all you need to do is call. If you ever need anything, don't you ever hesitate to call me, because what you have sown into my life has changed my life forever. And I'm sure that's the same way Coach Dawn Staley felt. When that lady gave her that net off of that championship net, it did something for her. It motivated her. When that lady told me, you were meant for more, you're a leader. I had never thought of myself as a leader, because I had never led anything, not in my mind. I knew I had influence, but at that time, I didn't know that influence was leadership. I thought it was just a little influence. I knew that if I laughed, other people laughed. And so I would get in trouble in school for laughing, because I would laugh and then the rest of the class would start laughing. And I'd be like, they was laughing too. Why they didn't get in trouble? Because if you hadn't laughed, they wouldn't have laughed. If I give a protest about an assignment, the other ones would start protesting about the assignment. I didn't realize that was leadership. Nobody told me that. I didn't know. I thought that the leadership was the person who was standing in front of the class, the person who was in control. I didn't know that leadership was about influence. And so once I learned that, then I began to realize, oh, even now in my family, I won't respond to some text messages first, because whatever I respond to first, others will follow suit. And you need to be able to make your own decision. Don't let my decision influence your decision, because with leadership comes responsibility. But also, when you step into what you have asked for, the blessing that you have asked for, you also got to be ready to lose. See, we don't want to take the losses. We don't want to lose the relationship. We don't want to lose the people out of our lives. We want everything to stay the same and for everybody to come with us. And that's not the way it works, folks. I'm sorry to be the one to tell you that that's not the way that it works. You're going to lose some people as you move forward. Everybody is not ready to grow with you, and everybody's not ready to go with you. And that's for family and friends. We want to stay in what's comfortable, and it's comfortable, but it's real uncomfortable playing small, trying to pretend like you're not smart because you don't want nobody else to feel dumb, doing stuff that you don't really want to do, and then being resentful for it later. People taking advantage of you, and you sitting back and you're going to do it because you don't want them to talk about you later on. We have to think about these things. You're going to have some losses. To be all in means that you're willing to lose just as much as you're willing to win. It means that you're willing to take risks as well as take the wins. Some of us think that being all in means that I'm going to get the good. It's going to be bad to come with it. It's a two-sided piece of bread. It's a two-sided coin. It's a two-sided piece of paper. You don't get one without the other. The question is, which one are you going to focus on? So signs show up. People show up. Relationships show up. We will ask for something and the answer will drop in our lap, and we will ignore it because we block our own blessings. We block our own blessings. I got a blessing that's brewing right now. I know that for my 25th wedding anniversary, I want to do something really big. We was just talking to me and my husband. We were just talking about this. And I told him, I said, you know what? I had said to the universe, I said, okay, I need to get the perfect location for us to celebrate our 25th wedding anniversary, but I don't want to do any work. Like, I don't want to create another whole ordeal. And he was like, I'm so happy you said that, because we know that you can do too much. And I was like, right, I'm not doing that. I'm not going to do that, y'all. And so I said, you know, at first I was thinking we were going to go to Mexico. And he stopped and he looked at me. And I said, but you know, it's been on my spirit that we need to go where we're going to see more people like us, where we're going to see more melanated people, where we can feed into a melanated economy. And he said, Jamaica. And I said, Jamaica, how did you know? He said, I don't know. I was thinking Jamaica too. Again, signs, confirmation, alignment. So then I told him, and it's this travel company who just out of the blue just started showing up. He was like, that's the company you need to go with. I said, because I'm not planning anything. Like, they're going to do the planning, and I got 10 people going with me. So the 10 people need to have their plans made too. I'm not doing any of that. And so as we were sitting there talking, he was like, so you see how this all worked? And I said, you're right. I said, it all right there. But you know what? We are so afraid to take the path of least resistance. We are so afraid to take the path of least resistance because we want to struggle. We are always in survival mode, and we always think it has to be hard. As I was sitting there having that conversation with him, I was like, you're exactly right. Or it'll be right there in your face. We don't want to pay the money because we think that we can do it ourselves. Everything that I had been thinking in that little short conversation was all confirmation. You're going to Jamaica. You're not planning anything. You know what company is going to use. They've been showing up. They've been steady telling you this is it. You asked, and here go all of the answers. And instead of you taking the path of least resistance, you're going to try to make it hard on yourself and keep trying to look for other things and doing all this. Take the path of least resistance, people. Take the path. You asked for it. Here are the answers. Why won't you take the answers that are given? Why do we have to make it hard? I'm not going to make it hard on myself. And guess what? I got a niece who is a travel agent. She's not the one who's going to plan this because guess what? It's already been told me. She's not the one that's going to plan this. Another sign that showed up for me, I'm supposed to go on this trip, right? I'm supposed to go on this trip. It has been so deep in my spirit. You ain't supposed to be on this trip. You're going to have a horrible time. Don't you do it. So much so that my sister even said, I'm going to go with you. I'm going to go with you. She said, I think that I need to go with you. And when she said that, I was thinking to myself, why would you need to go with me? Like, I'm a grown woman. What you need to go with me for? But that's when you got to let go of your ego and get off your high horse. And I said, why you say that? And she said, well, you want me to be honest with you? I said, you know I do. She said, I don't like the idea of you going out of the country by yourself with other people. She said, and they don't know you. They don't know how you operate. They don't know your health conditions. She said, I can look at you and tell when something is wrong. She said, I'm going with you. And instead of fighting it, I said, you know what? I got a single room. You can come in the room with me. You just got to get your airfare, and you don't have to do any of the events with me. You just go on the resort. It's a beautiful hotel and everything. So that happened. But then it was still in my spirit, like, you need to not be on this trip. I don't know why I don't need to be on this trip, but guess what? I bet I'm going to be obedient. I bet I'm going to cancel this hotel. I bet I'm going to cancel this airfare. Do I know why? Nope. It's just sitting in my spirit. It just keep coming up. When I'm not even thinking about it, I just keep thinking about it. And I don't know why. Exactly. It's intuition. Exactly. And so I'm canceling that trip. There's no bad blood. There's no beef. There's no anything. But it's something that just keeps saying, you're not going on. You don't need to go. This ain't for you. This not for you. Do I want to go? Absolutely, I want to go. We got to start paying attention to the signs. But a lot of times, the reason why we cannot pay attention to the signs is because we're too busy. We're moving too much. We can't even hear the messages that are being sent or take the minute to see, what is this sitting on my spirit? Why am I feeling like this? Let me get in tune with what I'm feeling right now. What is happening? And each time that I stopped, I would get this feeling. And then I stop. I'd be like, that's about that trip. That's about that trip. That means you don't need to go. Why are you fighting? And just take the path of least resistance. It's going to make it easier for me just to cancel this trip and not even go. But guess what? Some of us will be scared of letting other people down. You're going to let them down. They're going to be mad at you. They're going to talk about you. What they going to say when you don't be there. What people say about me is none of my business. None of my business whatsoever. What people say about me is none of my business. If you mind the business that pays you, you will be okay. She said, mine has never let me down. I call mine my spiritual compass. Exactly. And it's too many times that we don't listen to it, or we'll listen to it in one instance, but not in the other instance. We won't listen to it when it comes to our job, but we'll listen to it when it comes to a trip. We won't listen to it when it comes to our spouse or our boyfriend or our girlfriend or our significant other, or even just regular friendships. I told y'all about how I came into a friendship with a person, really wonderful person. It was in my spirit. Step away, step away. Step away. You're not aligned. Step away. Step away. You're not aligned. I wasn't wanting to step. I was like, she cool. She all right. Like, we kick it. It's okay. Step away. Step away. And then I had to remind myself, you being disobedient. And I said, okay, let me step away. And guess what? It's been okay. I ain't lost nothing. But I wasn't going to hang around to find out what I was going to lose, because I was going to lose something, and I may have lost something and not even know that I lost it because of what may have been going on in the background and behind the scenes that I'm unaware of. But that's fine. As long as I don't know, I'm good. I've moved on with my life. And so we got to understand that we block our blessings by staying stuck, by refusing to give up what we have in order to go up. We will not surrender, and by being disobedient and not paying attention to the signs. And so I want you to, if nothing else, be encouraged that while it is true, what is for you is for you. But if you steady blocking the blessing and won't take action and won't do nothing, you're never going to get what's for you. It's going to keep going to the wrong address and waiting for the other person. The package is waiting on you, the person who you meant to be, and you keep showing up as somebody else. The mailman don't even know to give you the package because you next door at somebody else's house. I'm just saying. So we got to get these things together, and don't be afraid to step into the blessing. Step into the blessing. I'm telling you, if the dream is in you, the provisions are there for you. They are there for you, but you won't be able to see them. You're not going to know the how. You're only going to get the vision. You're only going to get the dream, and you won't be able to fulfill it on your own. Stop thinking that. You need other people. You need some supernatural help. You need other relationships. Your degree is not going to help you. I need us all to stop believing that the degree is going to help us. It's not. Your name can be dropped in rooms that you've never been in, and it ain't got nothing to do with that degree. People work with people that they like, and some of us are not likable people. Some of us nag all the time, complain all the time, negative, always thinking about the worst. Although they never say this to you, they not going to say it to you, because we live in a society where we'll smile in your face and talk about you behind your back. But you need people in your life who will tell you, ain't nobody going to work with you because you always complaining. I tell my friend, ain't nobody going to work with you because you super cheap. You super cheap, and people don't like cheap people. People don't like people who penny pinch, and you don't just penny pinch with yourself. You penny pinch with everybody, and ain't nobody dealing with that. And especially high level people, they're not dealing with that. You got to have people in your life who are going to tell you the truth. You steady bragging on what it is that you do, but you don't do it for nobody. You only do it for yourself. You are in this for yourself. You are only thinking about what you can get out the situation. People can see that. Just like you can see other people can see you. You're judgmental. You're always judging people, always got something to say, always talking about what somebody else did. People can see that. We can feel that. We can sense that. And we know how to move away. Yeah, we'll say hi. We'll be like, hey, girl, how you doing? But we can see that. We can see that, okay? I need us to understand. Nobody's working with people they don't like. You always negative. You're always complaining. You always got a gripe. You always need to talk to the manager. You always got a complaint. No, we're not dealing with that. Like, we can sense that energy. We can sense it. We can feel it. We can smell it. We can taste it. And those of us who not on that energy train, it's like a whole, we moving over here. We don't want nothing to do with that. And then you wonder why people won't work with you. And you think, oh, I'm just high energy. No, it's a difference between high energy. High energy attracts wealth. If your energy is not attracting wealth, That means that your energy is attracting struggle. It's attracting survival mode. It's attracting hustle. It's attracting grind. You got to work on your energy. People who have high energy, they deal in ease and grace. Listen at how that sounds. People who have high energy, they deal in ease and grace. They deal on a higher vibration. They are able to speak positive words because they know that their tongue has power. They understand that they can create. And so people who don't do that, we know that you don't know, because you wouldn't keep complaining. You wouldn't keep talking about other people's business. You wouldn't keep showing up to somebody else's business and doing more in their business, i.e. that school, i.e. that job, and not doing or going as hard for your own business. Like, we can see that. We can see that. We can see that. I need you to know we can see that. I need you to know. Yep. Yep. And so you got to do the work on yourself to become the person who's ready to receive the blessing, because you're not going to get the blessing because you're going to squander it. Some of us, if you came into $100,000 right now, it would be gone in 30 days because you wouldn't know what to do with it. So the Lord got to wait for you to prepare yourself. And we can't get the blessing because we won't prepare ourselves. We won't become the person that we need to become. We won't address our weaknesses. We won't address those things that keep us stuck. We won't learn that we have to surrender those things that we don't want to surrender. We got to be all in, and we got to stop being disobedient when you are being given an advantage. You're being given a sign. You're being given an opportunity, and you choose to do the opposite thing anyway. I'm going to tell y'all this real quick story because I know that somebody need to hear this. My mother, when she was alive, my mother, if y'all ain't one of them people who believe that people know stuff, I'm here to tell you, my mother was one of those people. And I'm sure some of y'all got one of them mothers too. My friend came over. I had been working at this school. You know how we meet colleagues. Friend was coming over. She was due to get married. I hadn't said nothing to my mom about this marriage, nothing at all, because this was a work friend. I was at my mom's house. My mom lived about 3 or 4 miles away from the school I was working at. She came over. We park in the backyard at my mom's house. So I told her, I said, park in the back. We have a double lot, so you can get like 10, 15 cars on the lot. So I said, come park in the back. Both of those lots are ours. Pull up and don't block the driveway because all of us come in through the back. So she comes in through the back. She had never been to my mom's house. Keep in mind, she never been to my mom's house. So she pulls in and she gets out the car. I'm in the bathroom, using the bathroom. I told my mom, my friend is coming by. And so my friend is coming up the back yard, coming up to the porch. She's walking up the porch. And my mom, she's always in the kitchen cooking. She came out on the back porch and she said, hey, how are you? And she was like, oh, I'm good. My mom said, I'm Chanel's mama, Miss Jordan. She said, and I take it that you're her friend from work. She said, I am. She introduced herself. And my mama stopped right there. And my mama told her, you about to get married. You gonna get married. She said, you can save your time. That marriage will not last 3 years. It won't go a day over 3 years. She said, save your time. This ain't the person for you. You're trying to make this happen, and it's not going to work. My mama turned around, went in the house. Do y'all know? I didn't know what my mama had said to that girl. I was in the bathroom. Didn't even know the conversation had happened or anything. I came out. I'm like, hey, girl, what's going on? And she stayed for a few minutes, and she was like, so I'm finna go ahead and go out, talk to you later. I didn't know the conversation had happened. She went and got in her car. She left. She was only there for about 10, 15 minutes. She went and got in the car. She left, okay? I didn't know nothing had happened. So then I'm in the kitchen. I'm talking to my mom. My mom was like, that girl about to get married, ain't she? I said, yeah, how you know? She said she can save her time. It ain't going to last for 3 years. And I said, what? And she said, yeah. I said, you didn't tell her that, did you? She said, yeah, I told her. Why wouldn't I tell her? I said, oh, Lord, mama, you ain't supposed to tell her. She said, no, somebody needs to tell her. She said she already knows there's problems in their relationship. And I was supposed to tell her this. And I was like, oh, my God. So I didn't know she had told her until she told me. So then the next day when I got to work, I said, what did my mother tell you? And she told me what my mama told her. And I was like, I am so sorry. I was like, I should have told you, but I told you my mama be doing stuff. She was like, yeah. She was like, but you know, people say stuff all the time. Y'all, I kid you not. I kid you not. That girl was married for 2.5 years. She was married for 2.5 years and went through pure hell in them 2.5 years. In them 2.5 years. Now, keep in mind when people tell people the truth. So we stopped talking because stuff had happened. And plus, my mama had told her that. I ain't saying that's the reason why we stopped talking. We were probably going to stop talking anyway. We just kind of drifted apart. It wasn't a mad breakup or anything, but I'm sure that conversation has something to do with it. Do you know, 2.5 years later, she called me. And no, it wasn't even 2.5 years later. It was almost at the 3-year mark. And she called me. I didn't know anything about the divorce or anything. She said, my divorce is final today. And I was like, oh my God, really? Now keep in mind, I ain't talked to her in over a year, maybe a year and a half. I was like, oh my God, really? I am so sorry to hear that. She said, yeah, I could have saved myself the time and trouble like your mama had told me to if I had just listened. Sometimes we get just real clear signs. Some of y'all got them parents who done told y'all. Some of y'all got them husbands who done told y'all. My husband had been told me, you need to quit that job. That job gonna kill you. You need to leave that job. My husband had been told me. My husband had been told me. My mama told me when I brought my now husband home, she said, that's your husband. That's your husband. I was like, no, it's not. She was like, that's your husband. We need to listen sometimes. Our people know us. And sometimes the message is sent through other people. Sometimes I'm just telling y'all this. I'm just letting you know that, and it's normally sent through people who you love and trust. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's total strangers. Sometimes it's total strangers. When I was a little kid, this other little kid, I was about 8, 9, 10 maybe. This little baby who was 5 years old told me, your smile is so pretty, you should always smile. And I was like, oh my God, this little kid, that little kid's mama came outside and she said, smiling improves the texture of your face. You have a beautiful smile and you have nothing that you should never not be smiling about. Yeah, we got to start listening to people. From that day forward, I was like, you know what? Let me smile more often. Because why am I not smiling? Y'all know I don't do a lot. I'm an introvert. I don't go. And I said, let me start smiling a little bit more. Ever since then, I've been able to smile. I smile, not a fake smile. I make sure it's a real smile. I don't do fake smiles. If you see me smiling, it's real. It's not a fake smile. I do not do fake smiles. I don't believe in it. And that's why I had to get away from that school system, because that school system had me doing fake smiles. And when I realized that I'm walking around here with a fake smile on my face, I ain't got nothing to be smiling about. Really, I'm mad and frustrated and exhausted on the inside. And I got this big smile plastered on my face. Let me get myself away from here, because I'm in a toxic relationship that's creating harm. And if I don't let other harmful relationships in my life, why am I letting this school have me in a toxic relationship? Why am I in this school dealing with a narcissist? Why am I over here dealing with people who are jealous and envious? Why am I over here dealing with people who are making me physically ill? Like, that is crazy. And I keep showing up day after day after day after day because I'm scared that if I don't show up, I won't be able to pay my bills. Guess what? I am an intelligent human being, and I'm pretty sure that there are other jobs that I can work that will allow me to pay my bills that will not drive me into my grave. And those are the conversations that I had to have with myself, because I was being disobedient. I wasn't listening to the signs. I was acting like I was stuck, and I wouldn't give up to go up. Therefore, I was blocking all my blessings. And if there's anybody who's listening to this who can resonate with this, let this be your sign that I've been out of the school system for 7 years. I've made more money in this 7 years than I made in 17 years of working in that school system. If you take my salary for the past 17 years that I was in that school system, and mind you, I was at $116,000 a year when I left that school system, I have made 4, 5, probably 8 times that since I've been out of that school system in the past 7 years. I've made multiples of that salary in the past 7 years than I did in 17 years in that school system. I have been on more trips than I ever could have imagined. I've met more people, created more relationships. When I say my network is strong, my network is strong. When I say my support system is solid, my support system is solid. But I would not have been able to have that in the school system, all because I didn't want to give up to go up. Did I have to lose something in between? I sure did. Guess who I had to lose? I had to lose that version of myself. I'm just saying, I had to lose that version of myself. I had to create a new dream for my life, and I had to become the person who could live that life that I had imagined for myself. I had to take ownership of my decisions, of my life, and responsibility for what I had done and what I had not done. And I had to take action, and I had to step into blind faith, not knowing how it was going to turn out, who was going to deliver the answer, how soon it was going to come. All I knew was that it was in me, therefore it was available to me. And that's my message to you today. So come on back tomorrow. I'll be back tomorrow. I told y'all I'm showing up every day in April. If y'all put in the chat what you want me to talk about, I will. But I just come and I just share things. Today, when I saw our coach Dawn Staley and them ladies was opening up their gifts that she sent, and that piece of net was in there, I said, oh, I got to talk about the Black women who fed into me and how I continue to block my blessings. So that's how we got here today. Y'all have a good rest of y'all day.